Hello everyone, Sangeeta here. Today's my topic for discussion is recombinant DNA technology or genetic engineering. So what is the meaning of genetic engineering or recombinant DNA technology? So we all know that engineering, what is engineering? Which is the designing, construction and repair of non-living things, isn't it? So same here, the meaning of genetic engineering is which is a construction and repair of the gene of a living things. That is a definition. So a specific definition is that it is genetic engineering which affects artificial modification of the genetic constitution of a living cell by introduction of foreign DNA through the experimental techniques. So here, the normal biological exchange or addition of genes from different sources to form an altered chromosome, which can be this altered chromosome, which can be either replicated, transcribed and translated, and together this process is known as the genetic recombination. It occurs in a number of different biological situations. So in human body itself, this thing occurs naturally. The best example is the reunion or reunion of female egg and male sperm cell and forms the zygote. The sexual union of egg and sperm cell is best example of the natural genetic recombination. So in today's session, we will be discussing the artificial meaning of this recombination or genetic recombination and how it will be helpful to various identification of diseases and all. So in this session, we have to go in detail about the synthesis of hybrid DNA molecule or chimeric DNA molecule. The meaning of this chimeric DNA is that recombinant DNA technology, via the recombinant DNA technology, how specifically isolating and manipulating the DNA molecule and to make a specific hybrid DNA molecule. So that is known as the chimeric DNA. Now, further we'll be discussing the construction of DNA molecule which requires so many steps, like first one, fragmentation of DNA by restriction endonuclease, specifically the enzyme called restriction fragments, that is under the point molecular tools of genetic engineering. Okay, we'll be discussing regarding the how we are cutting a specific DNA molecule by using specific restriction endonuclease. Then isolation of specific human DNA or done with the same restriction endonuclease enzyme. Then regarding the insertion of isolated human DNA into a vector. Vector means which is a carrier DNA molecule, the cloning vehicles to form the chimeric or hybrid DNA molecule. We have to introduce the specific DNA molecule into a vector. Then the steps involved in cloning, like insertion of this isolated human DNA vector. Further, what will happen? The joining of these two different specifically cut DNA fragments by DNA ligase enzyme. So these all are the steps which involving in the construction of a DNA recombinant DNA molecule. And further, I will be discussing regarding applications of RDNA technology. Now, in detail about the restriction endonuclease enzyme, which is specifically needed to cut a specific fragment of DNA molecule. It cleaves the double-stranded DNA in a specific palindromic sequence into smaller fragments. Palindromic, you know the meaning that, like we can running back again. That means both strands of DNA have the same sequence when we read it in a 5' 3' direction. So this restriction endonuclease specifically cuts the double-stranded DNA in a specific palindromic sequence, and it is first isolated from E. coli molecule. The scientist Werner Haber, who has isolated this restriction endonuclease from an E. coli bacteria. And why this name is given as a restriction endonuclease is that because their presence in a given bacterium which restricted the growth of foreign infective bacterial viruses. that is bacteriophage, which will restrict the entry of the specific bacteriophage into the host bacteria. That is why the name is given as restriction endonuclease. And the site where restriction endonuclease cleaves the double-stranded DNA selectively at a specific site, that is known as restriction site. So usually 4 to 6 base pairs length DNA sequences will be cut specifically in a palindromic sequence by this restriction endonuclease enzyme. So, how this restriction endonuclease cut the double-stranded DNA molecule is that I said it is in the palindromic sequence. So, remember that this restriction endonuclease in molecular biology it is known as the molecular scissors. So, scissors, what is the purpose of scissors? To cut something, isn't it? Same here, the restriction endonuclease enzyme have a capacity to cut the DNA molecule at a specific site. Now, there are various restriction endonucleases, isn't it? So now, how this nomenclature, how the naming of this specific restriction endonuclease is given is that the best example here it is given as EcoRA. In this EcoRA, the first letter that is the genus. What is genus here? A for Escherichia. Then the next two small letters that is co. That is a species name, Escherichia coli. Coli is a species name here. Then fourth letter, third and fourth letter is actually the strain of organism and the order of discovery. So here the name is given as EcoRI. There are so many examples for restriction enzyme. BAM-HI. BAM is for B, genus that is Bacillus. Then species AM that is amyloleucophagins and the strain is H strain and the order of discovery is that first enzyme discovered from this species. So Bacillus amyloleucophagins H1. Then DPNI that is Diplococcus pneumoniae first enzyme. Then HIND3 that is Haemophilus influenzae D strain and the third enzyme. BGI2 that is Bacillus globigii second enzyme. Then PST first that is Providentia stewarti 164 that is a first enzyme isolated from this species. Then SAU3A1 that is Staphylococcus aureus strain 3A and the first enzyme identified from this species. Then KPN1 that is Klebsiella pneumonia and the order of discovery is first enzyme from this species. Now, the action of restriction endonucleases. Restriction endonucleases produces two types of fragments, either a sticky end or a blunt end. How it is? Some restriction endonucleases cleaves both strands of DNA so as to leave no unpaired bases on either end. You can see here. So, it will produce a blunt end. Blunt end. So best example here it is given as HAE3 that is Haemophilus aegypticus third enzyme. And whereas some enzyme, for example TAC1 or EcoRI, here it makes a staggered cuts on the two strands and leaving 2,4 nucleotides of one strand unpaired at each resulting end, and this is producing a cohesive end or sticky end. So what will happen in both strand there will be a sticky end in both sides, that is a meaning of producing a sticky end. And further, once we are cutting the double-stranded DNA molecule by this restriction nuclease, we should have another enzyme to join the DNA fragments together, where we are cutting the restriction endonuclease with the use of this enzyme. We are cutting the specific gene of interest of human and also a specific gene of vector also. And finally, we have to join it together. That is done with DNA ligase enzyme. So the enzyme that cut with staggered cuts which results in complementary ends that can be ligated together. So here HIND3 leaves a 5' overhangs or sticky ends. These are complementary each other. So because which is digest with the same restriction endonuclease and can be ligated together, that is done with DNA ligase enzyme. Now the action of restriction enzyme diagrammatically, here you can see that the red color, which is a plasmid or vector, which is cut with the restriction endonuclease with a specific endonuclease, and here it is given eco-RA endonuclease which cuts this plasmid, and with the same eco-RA foreign DNA, it can be the gene of interest, whatever it is, where we are supposed to make the specific gene or protein, whatever it is, that should be cut with the same DNA, same restriction endonuclease, and producing the sticky ends. And these two sticky ends, that is one from the plasmid and one from the foreign DNA, which can be ligated together by the DNA ligase, and we are getting the plasmid chimera or what a hybrid DNA molecule. Same which is explained in this figure also. Now the next session is that we have to discuss in detail about the host cell. That is, usually in molecular biology or genetic engineering, bacteria is the best choice of host. Why we have to select the bacteria as the host? We know that they are cheaply available, relatively simple organism, and reproduce quickly and asexually. That means the daughter cells will contain the exact same DNA as the parent cell, and it is easy to get back the DNA back into the bacteria after you have changed it. So, and there is no ethical issue, isn't it? So, you can mess around with the DNA and kill a lot of them during the experiments and nobody gets mad. That means if you are handling animal experiment and all, there are lots of animal ethical issues, and we are not supposed to even touch a human or animals for the experimental purpose. Here nobody is there to question regarding bacteria, isn't it? So that is why bacteria is the best choice. And another simple point is that they reproduce very quickly and asexually, and easy availability, that is making the bacteria as the best host for the molecular biology. In detail, the host cells are the living systems or cells in which the carrier RNA molecule or vector can be propagated. The best is E. coli, Escherichia coli, and another one is Bacillus subtilis for the production of enzymes and antibiotic, etc. Then another example for host cell, yeast cells, specifically Saccharomyces cerevisiae, which is preferred to produce human proteins. Then mouse or mammalian complex proteins, TPA, that is for the post-translational modification experiments. Now regarding the next requirement for genetic engineering, vectors. Why? Normally the foreign DNA fragments which cannot self-replicate in a cell. So we have to join together this foreign DNA to a vector that can replicate within the host cell. That is why the use of these vectors come into picture. So let's see what are these vectors. The cloning vectors are the cloning vehicles. Vectors are DNA molecules which can carry a foreign DNA fragment which can be cloned, and it is usually self-replicating in an appropriate host cell. What are the essential properties of a cloning vector? So, it must contain at least one specific palindromic sequence recognized by the restriction endonuclease. So already I said restriction endonuclease usually cuts the double-stranded DNA molecule in a specific palindromic sequence, whether it is the specific DNA to be cut or whether it is the vector to be cut, that is usually read in a specific palindromic sequence which should be recognized by the restriction endonuclease and should be capable of autonomous replication. Now the types of vectors: plasmids, bacteriophages, cosmids, and artificial chromosome vectors. Let's see one by one. So already I have given the definition for plasmids. They are small circular pieces of extra DNA found in bacteria. That is the meaning of plasmids. Small circular pieces of extra DNA which is found in bacteria, and usually these plasmids carry the antibiotic resistance. That is a reason for evolution of newly bacterial resistant bacteria, or mutation occurs because of the presence of these plasmids. Now, plasmids are naturally occurring extrachromosomal DNA molecules. It is not artificially made. They are circular double-stranded DNA and offers an antibiotic resistance, and it is often transferred from one bacteria to the another. So these plasmids can be cleaved by restriction enzymes and can leave either sticky or blunt ends. Artificial plasmids can be constructed by linking new DNA fragments to the sticky ends of plasmids. Now the nomenclature of plasmids. So nomenclature of restriction endonuclease already we have seen. Now the naming of plasmids. The best example here it is given as PBr322. So the P is simply representing the plasmids and followed by first letters of the researcher or researchers, that is BR. Here BR is Bolivar and Rodriguez because two scientists were there behind the identification of this plasmid. So Bolivar and Rodriguez, and uh, number given by the workers. These scientists may give some numbers to this identification of this specific plasmid. That is why here it is 322. PBR 322 is the best vector for the recombinant DNA technology. So it is a commonly used vector, has a DNA sequence of 4361 base pair carries gene and resistance for two specific antibiotics, ampicillin and tetracycline. I will discuss what is the purpose of this specific antibiotic resistance. And these antibiotics resistance carrying gene will serve as a markers for the identification of clones which carrying plasmids. We'll be discussing how to isolate the specific gene from the vectors later. This plasmids has its own unique recognition sites for the action of restriction endonucleases. So this is an example, PBr322 having 4361 base pair length gene, then having two antibiotic resistance, one is tetracycline and one is ampicillin resistant. This is like multiple restriction endonucleases can cleave a particular plasmid. Here it has site for EcoRI, it has site for BAMHI, then site for SAL1, site for PBU2, etc. Now the second vector is that bacteriophages. Bacteriophages are naturally occurring viruses that infect bacteria, and it is usually a linear double-stranded DNA molecule, and it is packed into a protein, specific capsid protein within the host cell. An advantage is that it can hold longer DNA segments than plasmids. So this is a second type of plasmid, bacteriophages. Usually the common bacteriophage which using as a vector in our DNA technology is the lambdaphage bacteriophage. And the third one, cosmid. Cosmid is actually a fusion of both plasmids and bacteriophages. It has both the characteristics of plasmid and bacteriophages. It can hold up to 40 kilobase pair length gene can be introduced into cosmid DNA molecule. The recombinant DNA so formed can be packed as phages having some capsid protein cover, and this can be injected into host cell E. coli, and inside the host cell cosmid behave just like the plasmids and replicate. Advantage is that they can carry longer fragments of foreign DNA compared to the plasmids. Now we have to go the steps of this DNA technology. Before that, in this figure you can simply understand the advantage of DNA technology. So here, this was a way to synthesize human insulin for diabetics in olden days from the animals. We have to extract the insulin from the animal pancreases. But recently, because of the advancement of our DNA technology, from bacteria in a cheaper way. We need not to harm any animals for the experiments. From the cheaper way, from the bacteria, we can produce insulin enormously by using the RDNA technology. And remember, insulin is the first product developed by RDNA technology. So the procedure for RDNA recombination. Number one, preparation of specific human gene. Second, preparation of chimeric DNA. Then cloning. Fourth one, transfection of vector into host cell. Fifth one, the marker, that is antibiotic resistant gene plasmids, which helps for the selection of colony having desired gene. This figure which explains all these steps together. Number one, isolation of a specific DNA to be amplified, which is cleaved by a restriction endonuclease. That is done with the same enzyme where we are used to cut the specific vector, that is plasmid. Plasmid is a circular double-stranded DNA containing antibiotic resistant, which is cleaved by EcoRNA. With the same EcoRNA, we have to select the DNA to be amplified. That should be cut with the same EcoRNA molecule, and there in these two, this EcoRNA will be producing a sticky ends. And these DNA of interest and cleaved plasmid should be ligated together by DNA ligase enzyme and producing the chimeric DNA, or which is known as a hybrid plasmid. So this DNA ligase, which covalently joins these DNA fragments of plasmid and DNA of interest, producing a hybrid plasmid. Now, further, next is that we have to introduce this hybrid plasmid into a host cell. Usually the host cell is a bacterium. Here, next is our recombinant DNA is introduced in the bacterial host by transformation. That is by using some hypertonic solutions and all. This plasmid should be entered into the host cell. Further, we will allow this bacterium to grow in a specific suitable culture medium in presence of antibiotics. Why in presence of antibiotic? Because the vector we are selecting having some antibiotic resistance. So if you are introducing the foreign DNA into that one among the specific antibiotic resistant area, that will be getting inactivated, so that it will be easy for us to choose a specific hybrid plasmid having our specific gene of interest. Okay, so bacteria are grown in presence of antibiotics, thus selecting for cells containing the hybrid plasmids which provide antibiotic resistance. And these bacteria are lysed and the hybrid plasmids are getting isolated. And plasmids are cut with the same EcoRNA where we have used to cut the vector and the DNA to be amplified, and releasing multiple copies of DNA of interest. And this amplified DNA of interest can be multiplied by using either another technologies can be used to recognize or identify these gene of interest by blotting techniques, PCR, etc. So this is all about the steps which involved in the cloning procedure, or to making a recombinant DNA molecule and the cloning of these things. Now we have to learn in detail about how to identify the colonies with the recombinant DNA. There we are using that antibiotic resistant property of the plasmid. So I said plasmid PBR322 has been engineered to carry two antibiotic resistant genes with restriction site, one for tetracycline and one for ampicillin. So here colonies with human DNA inserted into the tetracycline gene will not grow on tetracycline antibiotic containing agar media plates, but which will be grow on ampicillin plate. So we can easily select what specific plasmid molecule or DNA, bacterium which we need. Now the applications of RDNA technology. Let's see one by one. The first one is production of specific human proteins, hormones, etc. by using RDNA technology. So by using this techniques, we can produce abundance or large amount of these hormones, proteins, etc. for therapy, research and diagnosis, etc. And it can supply large amount of materials that could not be obtained by the conventional purification method. So the best example here it is the production of insulin, interferons, blood clotting factors, growth hormones, etc. So here one point you should remember, already I have discussed, insulin is the first recombinant technology product, or insulin is the first product which is discovered by using rDNA technology. The second thing is that diagnosis of genetic disorders. So rDNA technology is used to diagnose existing genetic diseases, specifically like sickle cell anemia, thalassemia, then familial hypercholesterolemia, cystic fibrosis, muscular dystrophy, etc. Next is for prenatal diagnosis. What is the meaning of prenatal diagnosis? If the genetic error is understood by a specific probe, what is probe? Actually, probe is a single stranded polynucleotide of a DNA molecule or RNA molecule that is usually used to identify a sequence of target DNA. I have explained what is probe in the coming slides. Uh, Nowadays, the ready-made probes are available for the prenatal diagnosis. Prenatal diagnosis means DNA cells which is collected from amniotic fluid and can be analyzed by Southern blot technology, or chorionic villi biopsy also can be used. Next is applications in forensic medicine. So, specific techniques like DNA fingerprinting or DNA genotyping or DNA profiling. This is for analysis of DNA sequence differences, which can be, because this DNA fingerprinting means the restriction analysis pattern of one individual will be very specific, but it differs from person to person. Specific, like usually we do our fingerprinting because our the fingerprint is different with the another individual, that is specific, unique for a specific individual. That is why this specific DNA fingerprinting or restriction site or restriction analysis pattern will be using to identify in forensic cases, like to identify the paternity of the or family relationship, or it can be used to identify specific criminals. Then next application is genetically modified plants to resist diseases. That is one of the for commercial application or for agricultural application and industrial application. So usually in agriculture, plants that resist to diseases, like which resist to specific insects or herbicides, and which can resist a specific climate condition like severe drought, temperature extremities also can be, or it can use for efficient nitrogen fixation. And by having all these peculiarities, specific breed variety of plant can be synthesized. The best example is BT brinjal or BT cotton, etc. Okay. Next is industrial application. This include the production of enzyme used in detergents, sugar and cheese, and also, and specifically it is used to improve the shelf life and increase the nutritive value in the industrial food products. And next is transgenesis, or production of transgenic animals, transfer of gene into fertilized ova. It means the genetic material into which DNA from a different organism has been artificially introduced into the egg. And the introduction of normal gene into somatic cells with defective genes, which corrects the defect only in the treated individuals, not in the field. Here, transgenesis is the best example. I hope you remember that the dolly, the sheep invention through the cloning, isn't it? And next is, I already said what is probe. Probe is a single stranded DNA or RNA molecule labeled with radioisotope or fluorescent materials. And the nucleotide sequence of probe is complementary to the target DNA. So, loads of artificially made probes are made available uh, in genetic engineering area, and these probes can be used for the diagnosis of diseases like antenatal diagnosis of genetic disease and to identify a specific viral or bacterial load in a suspected individual or in suspected blood and tissue samples, or to detect the presence of an oncogene, or to identify the mutation in human gene. And the last application is that gene therapy. Gene therapy is actually the ultimate way to cure for genetic diseases, to introduce a normal gene into the individual who are having this defective genes. So actually this gene therapy is in its infancy stage. This is actually under research and already started being used in to cure lots of genetic diseases like sickle cell anemia, then adenosine deaminase deficiency, etc. Already proven to cured by gene therapy. So here, gene therapy will be discussing in detail in the coming sessions. Usually one example, bone marrow precursor cells are being investigated for these purposes. That is stem cell transplantation, bone marrow transplantation, etc. Done based on this gene therapy, which will be discussing in detail later classes. So thank you. This is all about our DNA technology. In this session, you are supposed to learn in detail about the um, requirements of our DNA technology and what are the steps involved in our DNA technology and the applications of our DNA technology. And the short answer question type, restriction into nucleases, then plasmids, etc. also can be asked individually. Thank you all.